Check, check, 1, 2. Coachella 2024 is here. We just did a video on my music recommendations for Friday. In this video, we are taking on Saturday. So now by this point, you've had a day of different events, hopefully some, sponsored events that were not on one of the major stages. They've got a lot of parties going on, like, on the fairgrounds, off the fairgrounds, whether you're staying in the camping area or in a hotel. I'm not covering the non-artist, non-stage events. In this one, I'm just giving you my recommendations in terms of the artists that are scheduled on the actual flyer and set list now that the schedule's out. So yeah, let's get right into Saturday. Similar to Friday, I like to kind of take things slow in the morning. Maybe eat a little something, drink a little something, barbecue, play whatever games. Like if you're camping, then whatever's going on at the campsites around you and so forth. Just have a great time in the morning into the early afternoon. My first recommendation for Saturday wouldn't be until 3:10. And that's when Young Fathers takes the stage at the Gobi stage. Now, Young Fathers, they're kind of like an art rock, electronic, experimental pop group out of Scotland. You know who they remind me a little bit of, like sonically? They remind me a little bit of TV on the radio. Y'all remember them? Return to Cookie Mountain, Dear Science. That was a very good album. Sonically, Young Fathers reminds me a little of TV on the radio. So I would really want to catch them live. I think there would be a lot of energy. I just think that it would be a very interesting show. Again, that's taking place at 3:10. From there, I would get over to the outdoor theater. That's basically the second biggest stage in the whole fairground, with Coachella stage being the biggest stage. That's where like the headliners perform. But at the outdoor theater at 5:00 p.m., you would catch Vampire Weekend. I've been a huge fan of this band since their debut. That was like around 2007, 2008. Very good band. They're one of the bands or artists that I don't feel has really missed with one album. If there was any album of theirs that I didn't like as much as the others, it might have been their 2 albums ago, since they just dropped this new album. It might have been 2 albums ago with Father of the Bride. Aside from that, their self-titled debut, Contra, their second album, and Modern Vampires in the City, their third album, all were remarkable in their own ways. And this latest album, Only God Was Above Us, they just dropped it last weekend. That might be the closest return to the sound of their debut since their debut. You hear a lot of those kind of classical elements, a lot of those kind of Afrobeat or world music type percussions and drums, and kind of the boom, 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 before they go into like some classical, exhilarating blitz. I got a lot of that with this latest album. I was kind of refreshed to hear that they, kind of return to their original sound with this one. So yeah. Big fan of Vampire Weekend. I would definitely catch them at the outdoor theater right after catching Young Fathers at the Gobi Theater. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. In doing so, by the way, I would be missing The Last Dinner Party. The Last Dinner Party are a British act out of London. It's a new band and they just hit big. They just released their debut album this year, Prelude to Ecstasy. That album hit #1 in the UK. So yeah, they are pretty much on a rocket to the top. The Last Dinner Party. Unfortunately, if I watch Young Fathers and then Vampire Weekend, I would be missing The Last Dinner Party. Otherwise, I would definitely have tried to catch them. Now, after Vampire Weekend, it gets a little bit difficult because I could either go to the Gobi stage, back to the Gobi stage. Remember, that's where I would have caught Young Fathers. I would have to go back to the Gobi stage to catch kind of the end of the Last Dinner Party set. Otherwise, I could go to the Coachella stage and catch Sublime at 6:05. So that would be like almost like 15-20 minutes after Vampire Weekend wraps up their set. I could go to the biggest stage, catch Sublime, or I could stay at the stage, basically stay put, not catch the end of the Last Dinner Party, not go see Sublime, but stay where I'm at to then catch Blast, who is a rapper, singer, songwriter out of LA. He dropped his actual debut album, Before You Go, in 2022. So I could stick around and catch Blast at 6:10, or I can move over to the Gobi stage to catch the end of The Last Dinner Party and then maybe the beginning of Palace. But I think that I would just stay put, not catch Sublime, stay put and catch Blast, because then I could position myself better to catch Jon Batiste. Now, there was a decision that I would have had to have made. Jon Batiste, or do I catch the kind of punkish rock band, the Red Pears, out of El Monte, California? For those that might not know, that's just southeast of Los Angeles. Yeah, the Red Pears. I remember when I was shooting a lot of content, shooting live performances in like the mid 2010s. We're talking like 2014, 15 to 2017. The Red Pears were just starting to emerge. So yeah, cool to see them. I think this might even be their second Coachella performance. But yeah, I would either be catching Jon Batiste at 7:25, the Red Pears at 7:15, or Blur at the Coachella stage. Blur is Damon Albarn of the Gorillaz founder. That was his Britpop band back in the 90s, Blur, and they still make music. They just dropped an album like last year. But do I catch that alternative Britpop band of Damon Albarn's Blur at 7:40, Jon Batiste at 7:25, the Red Pears at 7:15, or do I try to catch Grimes at 7:10 at the Sahara stage? I think that I'm gonna catch Jon Batiste. And look, I like Grimes. I especially like Grimes' third album, I believe, called Visions. That was really a breakthrough. It had some really cool songs, kind of that synth pop, art pop. It was a little bit dark, but experimental, a little bit gothic with some of the sounds. But yeah, I really like especially that stage of Grimes' career. So I would be missing Grimes at 7:10. I would be missing Bleachers. That is Jack Antonoff's band. Jack Antonoff is now a 3-time Producer of the Year winner, Grammy Award wise. Like, he's now won 3 consecutive Producer of the Year awards. He produces for Lana Del Rey, if we're talking Norman effing Rockwell and Lana's latest album. He produces a lot of Taylor Swift's last few albums, except for the Folklore Evermore. That was the guy from the National who was mostly producing that one, or those two if you count Evermore. But yeah, Jack Antonoff has produced a St. Vincent album, Sia, a lot of different artists. Like, this is a pretty serious, super producer. Bleachers is his band. I would be missing them too, to again catch Jon Batiste, the former, Late Night with Stephen Colbert music director and band leader turned, he's really got a nice catalog developing. He actually won Album of the Year 2 albums ago, and I think it was like 2 or 3 Grammys ago with the album We Are. So he surprisingly won the Grammy for Album of the Year with that. And I think that his follow-up to that, World Music Radio, that was one of my like 5 or 10 favorite albums from anybody last year. World Music Radio. Like, prior to that, I wasn't really listening to Jon Batiste music like that. Like, to be frank, I don't know too many people who do or who were listening to Jon Batiste, his albums like that. But super high quality. Plus, he's like a music savant. Before people really got into his catalog, he would be one of these people who would be popping up at different private events, and he was just seen as being a super especially gifted musician. And so now it seems like everything is kind of coming into fruition in terms of the reputation of his albums. And look, I'm almost certain that if you choose to see Jon Batiste, that you are going to be in for a treat. I could only imagine the energy, because he's a high energy guy. You just see him like when he talks and in interviews, or his, feature on Lana Del Rey's latest album. Jon Batiste is a super high energy, super positive vibes, and he's just going to leave it all on the stage, I'm assuming, at Coachella. So I think he's going to just kill it. So I would definitely encourage y'all to check out Jon Batiste. He's going to be at the Outdoor Theater at 7:25. So again, I would be missing Blur, Sublime, the Red Pears, Bleachers, Grimes. There's a lot that I'd be giving up to see Jon Batiste, but I think that it would be worth it. And then after that, I think that I would be missing Bar Italia, they are another new band who's starting to get a lot of buzz. I'd be missing them. I'd be missing One O Tricks Point Never, the experimental instrumentalist slash, it's experimental. It's ambient music in a lot of cases. It's kind of glitchy, very great experimental instrumental producer DJ type of catalog. If you look at One O Tricks Point Never's track record, he also produced The Weeknd's Dawn FM album, like one of The Weeknd's best albums in my view. So yeah, highly reputed producer, DJ, just an experimental musician. I would be missing him. I would probably be missing Ice Spice because look, I'm trying to get after the Jon Batiste set, I'm trying to get over to the Coachella stage to catch not only the end of Blur's set, but then to position myself better to then catch No Doubt. Everyone's going to be going over to the No Doubt show. They're from 9:25 to 10:40. So yes, you do have to wait about 40 or 45 minutes after Blur exits for No Doubt to enter. But I feel like that's just one of those. I mean, can you imagine when they get into like Spiderwebs and, obviously like Don't Speak and I'm Just the Girl. I mean, this is their reunion show. So yeah, you have to catch No Doubt. So the question is, do you take a chance if you're catching Jon Batiste, who's going to be finished at 8:10? Do you go way over to the Sahara stage to catch Ice Spice, kind of one of these super popular young rappers who's kind of become like a household name? She's almost more famous than her music is known. You know what I mean? She's almost known for being a thing in the pop culture. Do you try to catch that? Oh, it's a short set, 30-minute set from Ice Spice, and then go over to No Doubt to try to catch them at 9:25? Or do you just try to get ahead of things, get over to the Coachella stage and then catch No Doubt from 9:25 to 10:40? I think that I might catch, I don't know. I mean, I would probably just go over, catch the end of Blur, stick around. I hopefully have water and snacks and everything like that with me so I could kind of camp out for like an hour or 45 minutes before No Doubt goes on. And then I would try to better position myself after No Doubt, because about an hour after No Doubt's finished, Tyler, the Creator, the headliner of Saturday, will take the stage. So in doing that approach, I would also be missing Coi Leray. That's Benzino's daughter, who's really emerged as like a pretty damn popular and I would say very talented and pretty good MC overall. And just overall, music maker, songwriter, if you will. I like Coi Leray, but I would be missing her because, again, I'd be catching the end of Blur and then No Doubt and then Tyler, the Creator. So I would basically be at that main Coachella stage from like around, when does Jon Batiste get off? 8:10. So right after that, 8:15, 8:20, all the way to when Tyler, the Creator, takes the stage at 11:40. So you've got to be willing to kind of wait it out and to kind of slowly move closer to the stage by the time that headliner comes on. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. But again, just to recap, I would go Young Fathers at the Gobi stage to Vampire Weekend at the Outdoor Theater. Stick around for Blast at 6:10 at that same outdoor theater. And then at that same outdoor theater, catch Jon Batiste. And then I would move over to the Coachella stage to catch the end of Blur, and then No Doubt, and then Tyler, the Creator. So that's my strategy. Let me know who your must-see artists are for Saturday in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.